Supernova is outraged that Spider-Man doesn't remember her and launches a blast of energy at them. But both heroes leap away. "You do not engage," Spider-Man tells his sidekick, Spider-Boy. He orders him to head down into the streets and make sure that the crowd is safe. But Bailey doesn't argue, leaping down to do exactly what he's told. Spider-Man then shoots a web swinging out of the way of danger. First it's a forgotten sidekick, now a forgotten supervillain? He shouts as Supernova follows him, sending blasts of white-hot flames after him. "You know me! You named me Supernova!" she shouts at him. But you're probably wondering how we got in this situation. This is the first issue of the new Superior Spider-Man run. Superior Spider-Man is a time period in the history of Spider-Man in which Doc Ock took over Peter Parker's body and decided that he would be the Superior Spider-Man, the better Spider-Man. In our last episode, we discovered that during his time as Spider-Man, Doc Ock locked up a poor woman and left her to die. Well, he'd freed her not knowing who or what she was, and she is now seeking revenge against Spider-Man because she assumed that it was Spider-Man that locked her up since Doc Ock was in his body. Also at this point, Spider-Man has his new sidekick, Spider-Boy. This is Comicstorian. We take comic books, turn them into audio drama so that you know what's going on in the world of comics and know what to add to your collection. Support us through patreon.com/comicstorian or check out the Comicstorian Full Story sister channel or find us on Spotify. New York City, near Times Square. The criminal known as Mirage rushes out of the jeweler's store with the owner chasing after him. "Stop! Thief!" she shouts, but Mirage laughs, using his power to create duplicates of himself when suddenly he looks up as Spider-Man appears on the scene. "How embarrassing. You hang out with your friends and you all show up wearing the same outfit," Spidey jokes. But various Mirages laugh and point as Spidey can't stop them all. And Spider-Man shakes his head. "Wouldn't dream of it. Besides, I have the night off," he says. And with a whoop of delight, Spider-Boy leaps into action, with Spidey reminding him that their deal is that he can only fight D-listers. Spider-Boy begins to leap amongst the various Mirages, passing right through them. "Spidey, how do I find the real guy?" Bailey asks. "Oh, I already spotted him," Spidey says, refusing to offer any other hints. But Bailey then realizes that the fake Mirages don't cast a shadow, and he homes in on the real one. In moments, the fight is over. So a short while later, the two spiders are sitting atop of one of the massive billboards in Times Square. They're enjoying an ice cream cone as they look down on the city. And the two discuss what it was like for Bailey to suddenly come back and no one remember who he was. But Peter points out that when he was erased, he merely lived a whole life where he never became Spider-Man. He remembers all of it, including all of the time that he spent with Uncle Ben. "I kind of wish I didn't remember that," Peter says to his young friend, and as they begin to talk about how Bailey is actually living right now, the young hero begins to remove his mask. Peter then stops him, pointing down to Times Square where they are both on the live stream big screen. "You almost put your whole face across Times Square. That was a close one. Go on, say hi to everyone, superstar," Spidey says, and Bailey pulls down his mask again, waving, getting a cheer from the city below. But suddenly there's a blast of energy and heat as a blue flame whips past them, flying towards the heroes. "There you are!" Supernova bellows, having recently been freed and now seeking revenge on Spider-Man. "I've been looking for you everywhere, but broadcasting your location on a big screen in Times Square? I never imagined you'd make it so easy, Spider. Now, finally I can have my revenge!" Estrella Lopez says. Both spiders jump to their feet and back up. "Whoa! Is this one of yours, Bailey?" Spidey asks, but the young hero shakes his head. "Nah, definitely one of your baddies." Supernova is outraged that Spider-Man doesn't remember her and launches a blast of energy at them. But both heroes leap away. "You do not engage," Spider-Man tells his sidekick, Spider-Boy. He orders him to head down into the streets and make sure that the crowd is safe. But Bailey doesn't argue, leaping down to do exactly what he's told. Spider-Man then shoots a web swinging out of the way of danger. First it's a forgotten sidekick, now a forgotten supervillain? He shouts as Supernova follows him, sending blasts of white-hot flames after him. "You know me! You named me Supernova!" she shouts at him. But down below, Bailey leaps amongst the civilians, pushing them out of the way into safety as debris begins to fall down from above. Meanwhile, across the city, Anna Maria is sitting at a coffee shop with an old boyfriend who's offering her a job with his science team in Australia. While they talk, she looks up to see the battle in Times Square, and she's shocked to recognize Estrella Lopez. Back in Times Square, Doc Ock has now arrived, having been following Supernova after he recently set her free. Memories of her origin from when he was Superior Spider-Man flash through his mind, but he still can't remember anything from his time as Spider-Man. He watches with glee as Supernova continues to attack Spider-Man, since she doesn't realize that it was Otto's mind in the body of the hero at the time, and that he is in fact the one responsible for her condition. Octoids, go forth! Record their battle on every known frequency and wavelength, Otto orders his small robots. Meanwhile, Spidey leaps out of the way of another blast of energy. Lady, can we talk? Before you set the rest of New York on fire? Spidey asks her, and he lands on a water tower looking down at her, pointing out that he doesn't know who she is. Are you even sure you got the right guy? There's a lot of me running around. Maybe you're in the wrong Spider-Verse? But she shakes her head. Don't you gaslight me! I know you! You're to blame for what happened to me, and it's time for you to get exactly what you deserve, she shouts, preparing another blast of energy. How would you put it? The die is cast! She shouts as she tosses energy at him. Okay, I know exactly who you think I am now, he says. The water tower begins to fall, and Spidey leaps down, wrapping it up with his webs. He then strains as he hoists the heavy container back up, but he spins it, tossing it as Supernova, hoping that the cold water will cool her off. But she blasts through it, turning the liquid to steam. Nice try, but nothing will stop me from... She begins to bellow, but stops when she realizes that Spider-Man has disappeared. No! Show yourself, she bellows. But in a nearby alleyway, Spider-Man is already changing back to Peter Parker. He realizes that Supernova only wants Spider-Man, so if the hero isn't around, she won't attack. But for a moment, his spider sense tingles again. He just assumes that it's Supernova still wanting to kill him, though. What he doesn't realize is that an Octoid is nearby recording him. As Peter Parker, he comes out of the alleyway and watches as Supernova begins to fly off, promising to find Spider-Man again. And on a nearby rooftop, Otto watches as his former protege flies off, his Octoid returning, with one more insistent than the others. When it folds back into his tentacles, he sees everything the drone recorded, including Spider-Man changing into Peter Parker. Memories of his time as Peter Parker and the Superior Spider-Man begin to flood back into his mind. Everything that he experienced. And he suddenly begins to laugh, realizing that it was Spider-Man's true identity that was blocking his memories from returning. He laughs louder, raising his arms in triumph. It's all coming back to me now. I remember everything! Dr. Octopus bellows into the night. I'm actually really interested how they're going to be bringing back Superior Spider-Man, but if you're also interested, make sure you like and subscribe, and join us next time because this story is to be continued.